aquí me quedé. He tratado de olvidarte, cuántas veces sin lograrlo así, cuántas veces, cuántas noches sin tus besos, aún sabiendo que te alejas más de mí. Cuántas veces he vivido y he sufrido mil fracasos y el dolor de no sentirte entre mis brazos, más la angustia de saber que te perdí. Cuántas veces he vivido y he sufrido mil fracasos y el dolor de no sentirte entre mis brazos, más la angustia de saber que te perdí. Aún después de haber pasado tanto tiempo, se repite otra vez la misma historia. No te puedo borrar de mi memoria.
I don't know about you, but I was in our virtual green room dancing salsa. I hope you enjoyed that music. That was brought to you by the Latin Heartbeat Orchestra. They are located here in Connecticut. Welcome to the Latinas in Power new Lunch and Learn series. Today, the theme is the creative entrepreneur. You know, I am the host for you today, and I am the founder and CEO of the Latinas in Power Symposium. Last Friday, we held our very first virtual symposium. Over 1,600 people registered from across the country. Thank you so much. We loved your feedback. We loved the comments. Please keep them coming, because that is what encourages us to keep going. That's what gives us el ánimo que necesitamos para seguir en esta lucha juntos. And so in some of the comments that were given to us, they said, please turn the chat feature on, because we want to talk throughout. So we have done that for you today. The speakers will be keeping their eye on the chat feature, as well as the question and answer feature that you will see at the bottom of your screen. I'll show you where that is in just a second. But more importantly, there is a Survey Monkey evaluation that went out from last Friday, that if it's not in your inbox, it may be in your junk box, so please check it. But when you fill out the survey, it's really quick, 10 questions. There is a $100 gift card to Compliments of TJX, one of our sponsors, and we'll be calling that name out at the end of the day on Monday. So with that, last week there was a kind of public service announcement that I put out there, which is really important, and that is that we all know we are dealing with complicated times, confusing times, and a lot of people ask, like, what can I do? I just don't know what to do. And there are two things that you can do. One of them is that you have received the census in the mail. Make sure that you count, fill out the census. It only takes a few seconds. And the second thing, if you believe that we really do need the kind of leadership that could unite our country, make sure you vote on November 3rd and bring all of your family members, anyone that needs help in the community, to vote. It's really important. I did want to say something, because I have a 6-year-old granddaughter, and she asked me if I would wear this little pink bow today. So just between us, make believe I did wear the bow throughout the entire program this morning. So in case she asks, she's only 6, but I told her I would do it. So there's my bow, Haley. So at the bottom of your screen, if you hover over, there's something that's called Q&A, and that's where you can enter your questions throughout the day. We hope technology cooperates with us today, but sometimes, you know what, technology is great, except for when it's not. So just bear with us if we have some technological issues. Latinas Empower is about inspiring, motivating, and encouraging Latinas to succeed, whether it's in their career or on their professional track or in business. And that is exactly what we're going to be focusing on today, entrepreneurs. We also believe in spotlighting the accomplishments of Latinas today. We are ready to do business. And so one of the things that we like to focus on is to make sure that we are sharing some of those stories with everyone else. We usually hold this event in Hartford, Connecticut. About 400 or 500 people show up. And usually in our breakout sessions, which is what today is considered, we have about 30 to 40 people. Oh, there's over 200 people that have registered today. So welcome each and every one of you. You know, I always often say that this program is created by Latinas for everyone. So even if you're not Latina, everything that you're going to hear today will definitely be relevant to that. So hopefully the information that you receive today will help you a little bit. I'd like to also say something about COVID because we are in the middle of a pandemic. We want folks to know that we are with you. We understand the challenges and the impact of COVID. In fact, my niece, Rebecca Melly, Becca, in Florida, is on her 14th day of quarantine. She has a little baby, 9 months old, and she hasn't been able to hold her for a whole 2 weeks. So Becca, best of luck to you today, and thank you for participating in Latinas Empower and sharing with all your friends. So we're going to start our program. We have a recognition to all of our sponsors. Of course, we have our presenting sponsors throughout this entire year is Mass Mutual, Eversource, and Chet. And one of our sponsors today, Webster Bank, is actually going to be hosting. And what I've asked Kathy to do is to not just say welcome on behalf of Webster Bank, but also tell us a little bit about her trajectory and how she got to that SVP level that she's at. Because when Latinas today reach the highest level in leadership, in corporate America, in government, it is something to celebrate. So welcome, Kathy Velez.
Thank you, Marilyn, for that great introduction. I think, you know, I'm proud to be here today. I'm a Latina. And, you know, pa que tú lo sepas, you know, kind of thing. And I'm honored to be here and be a part of today's event. And I want to congratulate you, Marilyn, because when you think about putting something like this together and being able to execute on it, you know, it's such a huge undertaking and you've done a fabulous job. And I want to applaud you and the team for everything you have done. And we are honored to be here with you today and to participate. So a little bit about Webster Bank. So Webster Bank is in a 4-state footprint. We're in Connecticut, New York, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. We have over 30 billion in assets. And, you know, we've had the pleasure of having 3 CEOs, and that's it for the entire time that we have been in business. We started in 1932 through the Great Depression when Harold Webster Smith wanted to find a way to lend money for mortgages. So we have a great history. After Harold left the ranks, his son Jim took over and was our president and CEO until about 3 years ago, when John took over, John Ciula. So I am, you know, honored to have been part of many of those years. And, you know, I won't tell you exactly how many because I don't want to date myself and give you my age, although I'm sure you could see the lines on my face. So, but you know, it's been a great time for me, you know, in my career. And I'll talk a little bit about my experience, and I'll talk about some of the things that I really find important as a leader. So, you know, I started with a bank in 1989, and I started as a teller. And, you know, I really you know, wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, and, you know, had grown up in New Haven, have had a lot of retail experience, and my boyfriend, then husband now for many years, said to me, why don't you look into working at a bank? You know, you like numbers, you like math, and why don't you try that? And I never left. And I'll tell you why I never left. And, you know, I have a special place for Webster, and I feel like I grew up there. You know, I went there as a young adult, and I really learned from so many leaders that I had within the company. I've learned what not to do, right? Because sometimes you watch other leaders and you know that some of the things that they do are not things that you want to do or are not true to your values. But I've had the ability, and one of the speakers said it last week, you know, you tend to watch people. And, you know, that's been one of the things that I attribute to my success, is being able to watch people and emulate some of the things that they've done. So I started as a teller that many years ago. And, you know, I just kind of steadily moved through the ranks. And, you know, then I started a family. And at the time that I started a family, I was an assistant manager in New Haven. I had what was, you know, at one point the flagship office in New Haven. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, I had my bumps along the way, as we all do, and I learned from them. But one of the things that I think was something that I valued and was that we truly cared about our customers, and we still do to this day. Every decision that we make as an institution is focused on what's best for our customers and what's best for our bankers. And, you know, even during this crisis, you know, it amazes me the leadership, what leadership has done, and the steps that they've taken to really make sure that we have kept our employees and our customers safe. And, you know, I value that. So, you know, as a banking center manager, I had the opportunity. All of our banking center managers are trained on business. And, you know, we know that business is important. It's hugely important to us. It's one of the main pillars, you know, as we look at our institution and what we want to do. We have strong ties with the SBA. We've been the preferred lender of the Small Business Administration for a few years. And we also do a lot to make sure that we do some in-house training and processes to help our business customers. So when I was, you know, out in the field, I had the opportunity to work with many businesses. And, you know, last week, one of the speakers also shared that there's an opportunity when you start your own business to get a really good accountant. And that could not be truer, because when you come to the bank and you are looking for financing, we always want to see that your books are in order and that you have the financials in place in order to get the financing that you need. That's absolutely true. And I can tell you from my own experience, you know, the opportunities that I had to work with many businesses, and, you know, not just me, but my partners. You know, one of the things that we're really good at Webster is making sure that we surround ourselves with a team that's able to help small businesses. So many times, you know, I went on my own to visit local businesses, but a lot of the times I brought back my partners. We worked closely with our business bankers, our cash management partners, and then our external partners for, you know, credit card services and all that other good stuff that comes along. But one of the things that I truly enjoyed, and probably, you know, if I look back at my career, I could say that one of the things that I really enjoyed was having that opportunity to meet with business customers and to see, you know, what it was that I was able to contribute to help them grow. And, you know, a lot of the times, and I still have, you know, some of my business customers that contact me. I think those are the strongest relationships. And, you know, that was something that was mentioned last week too, the importance of having a strong relationship with your banker. And that could not be more true. As you think about, you know, the relationships that you have as a business owner, it's definitely important to have a strong relationship with your banker. My customers would call me and say, I'm thinking of, you know, adding more people, or I'm thinking of expanding my business. How can you help me? And we would be right there through those conversations.
That is awesome. That's such awesome information, you know, when you're tying it into like the importance of having, for an entrepreneur, to have that relationship with a bank and making sure that they understand, you know, the importance of what that means to their business. Kathy, thank you so much for that great information. I hope that we can continue the conversation as we bring the other speakers on, and that you'll be able to, I see some questions already in the chat room for you. So hopefully we're going to be able to get to those questions.
Great.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
So there is one of our speakers who will not be able to join us today, and that is Sonia Alvelo. She is dealing with a health issue. So we hope to bring Sonia Alvelo back at a different time, because she's the CEO of a financial services company, which is very rare to see. So we really do want to hear about her story. Our next speaker is Glenda Ciampa. And Glenda comes to us from Massachusetts. She's a real estate investor. She has focused on buying property in the Boston and New Hampshire area while working in technology professional services throughout corporate America. Glenda's committed to diversity and inclusion initiatives. In the committees that she serves in, she's been a leader. One of the things that Glenda has always said, every time I hear her speak, she goes, "Buy houses, not shoes." And I just love that. Welcome, Glenda Ciampa.
And you know, Marilyn, I love the way you say it, because that's exactly how I feel it. So thank you for that introduction. Buenas tardes, Marilyn, panelists, and everyone that's called, that has logged in. I'm very excited to be here. I also wanted to say, Marilyn, congratulations on a fantastic seminar last week. It was great, and I really liked it, so thank you.
Thank you, Glenda.
Yeah, no problem. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to really introduce myself. As you guys know, soy puertorriqueña. For those of you who don't know, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm married. I have two beautiful little girls. I even have a cute dog that my girls always want me to mention. His name is Buddy. I'm also a real estate investor, and I'm also a technology leader, and I've been working with corporate America for a while. I started investing. I'm going to talk more about the investing side of it many, many years ago. I started when I was younger, and I'll tell you the how, why. When I was young, I started working as a teenager in a supermarket. It was my first job. And my father had something very interesting to tell me right before I started. And basically what he said to me was, now that you're going to be earning, I want you to do two things. Not suggesting, I want you to do two things. I want you to save to invest in real estate, and I want you to save for retirement. Now I was 14 years old, right? I have a lot of respect for my papi. I listened to what he had to say, and as he walked away, I was very disappointed. And the reason why I was really disappointed with what he had to say is because the only reason I started working or because I wanted to buy a pair of shoes that they didn't allow for me to buy because it was too expensive and it didn't make any sense to them, but I wanted it. But anyway, I learned very quickly, and that advice and many others to come is what I realized, you know what? I do want to buy houses and not shoes. So Marilyn, that's really where that saying from me comes from. So also, as I was talking about this, my daughter comes to me and says, "Mommy, can you please mention that you've been telling us that ever since we've been little?" And I think that's important because, again, when I'm being asked why I do this, it's because I had a mentor in my own family that encouraged me right from the start that this was a possibility for me. And once I got started, it was actually, I needed to create that team of advisors. I walked into banks and I started asking about their lending processes and procedures. I will tell you that many of them did not take me seriously. Maybe I was young, maybe I was Latina, I was in the Boston area. Some even said, "You sure you want to do this?" You know, and I was there to just talk business, right? However, there was one seminar that was local in my community, and it was a first-time homebuyer seminar. And I walked into that bank, and that made all the difference in the world. This man, and I wish I remember his name because I think I'll send him a thank you card every year, took me very seriously. He answered all my questions. And in addition to that, He even told me about grants that were happening in that time that they would give to people if they were first-time home buyers and they needed some money for the down payment. So, I say that because I know, Kathy, you were just mentioning about the importance of making sure that you establish some relationships with banks, because if you don't have that inside mentoring like I did, there are other places that you can go if you're serious about starting a business that will give you that information and that and I know, Marisol, you're going to be talking a little bit more about some of those resources. Take advantage, get informed, talk to people. Now,
Glenda,
yes.
I just have a question for you because,
Sure.
I mean, I love what you're saying, but, when we're talking about becoming an entrepreneur, it's kind of scary. And I know for you, you have transitioned from working in corporate America, but you always had that side thing going on, and you're balancing family and you're balancing all those things. Like, I'm just so intrigued with that. What's the thought process that happens? Because honestly, it's a little bit scary.
Well, absolutely. So I had a formula right from the beginning, right? And that was work, save, invest, and buy. Okay. Now, when I was really young, I wanted to work and buy, right? Work and buy. So one of the really good things, I think, that mentally you have to prepare yourself to be able to say, yes, I'm working, I'm also saving, and then I'm also investing. And that became for me my balance. So I had never stopped working until just recently, where I decided to do this more full time. I am grateful, grateful that I started this side business, or side hustle, as they like to say, a long time ago, because it has allowed me for a better transition and to be able to say, at this point in my life, I think I'm going to stop doing this. It just feels like it's the right time. And now I'm able to focus more on this business that has done so well for me and taking it to a different level.
That's so fascinating that you were able to realize this formula that you're saying. It sounds so simple, but it's a formula, and it's the formula that is working for you. And I think there's two kinds of folks that are on the call today. One is that it's that Latina that has no idea, where to start. And then that person is, okay, I started. Now what? One of the questions that came on earlier this past week that was sent to us was, okay, so I have the information I need. I started my business, but there's nobody that will talk to me. There's no mentors, there's no champions, any of that. You've taken it from the idea to an established business. What advice could you give some of these women today, especially when we're dealing with the pandemic and so many other challenges that we're facing? And as a Latina in this business, which the real estate business, I know that often was a male dominated, the investment business has been a male dominated field. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, that's a really excellent question, because I won't be able to do what I do without my team of advisors. Now, from a real estate perspective, yes, you have the banker, the one that is partnering with you to make sure that you can get the funds in order to get the real estate, right? You also have realtors, working with people that can contact you to let you know that some things are available. That's also extremely helpful. We also have so many online resources right now. So being able to, log in and take a look at what's available, or let them notify you of what's available, that is important. Now, I want to also really give practical advice, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but one of the things that you realistically need to do if you're starting is that having that conversation with that banker to understand how much money you can borrow is extremely important. Because a lot of questions that I get when I talk about real estate is people are not exactly sure what they can afford. Well, if you're not sure, well, guess what? Everybody, the first time they buy a house, they see this mansion in their head, right? but you got to work towards that. And what I'm exaggerating when I say mansion, but it's usually not what you can afford, right? And some of us can, but the reality is that you need to sit down and understand. And once you have that, you can go to the next advisor, which is either that real estate person or online searches, and keep that going. So there's going to be that one time that that property is just going to be just right for you at that price range. And you have to take that seriously and contact and, you know, move forward. And once you get that house that you're interested in, your next advisor is like an inspector, you know, someone, and there's so many online. If you don't have that already and you're just starting, getting online, talking to them, feeling comfortable with them, showing up. Their job is to tell you whether this house is good or not, right? And that can also help you. And that becomes less scary as you're moving forward with your journey.
Which website have you found most helpful for like the kind of information you're talking about?
You know, I love Zillow. Oh my goodness, do I love Zillow. And I think, you know, there's a couple of them. I can go realtor.com, but, you know, I like Zillow because Zillow has taken very great data and just put it out there. And what I mean by that is, you know, exactly where it's located. They'll give you that information. Sometimes they, you know, they hook up with Google Maps and you can actually look at the surroundings.
Right.
They tell you how much taxes. They tell you the history of how many times that house has gone for sale. So you see whether it's something that, you know, it was worth investing because over time, has it decreased or devalued, right?
And, you know, Glenda, the information you're sharing on being an investor in real estate, I think is going to inspire a lot of women. I already see comments in the chat of people saying, I'm buying my second house already. So like, this is so exciting, but this is just one way of becoming an entrepreneur. If you're in general, I want to ask you one more question before we go to our next speaker, and then we're going to come back to make sure that we answer more questions. If you have, what would you say to that person that still has that fear of trying anything? It doesn't have to be buying houses, but just getting outside of that comfort zone of they have that steady job and that's the weekly paycheck, but they really have something in their heart that they're feeling that they need to do. What is that fear? How do you overcome that fear?
So is your question, they work and they want to leave work to pursue their entrepreneurship, or if, okay, so, okay. For me, I mean, I can tell you about me. It was a lot of fear because I always had that formula, right? Work, invest, save. And I always felt that working for someone else, right, just provided that comfort enough, right, that if things don't go right for me, then I always have that. However, I have gained a lot of confidence, and more than, you know, I've gained confidence, and I've seen that the choices that I have made in the real estate that I have bought has provided so much dividends for me. I mean, dividends, that now I feel, man, I should have done this a long time ago, right? I should have done this a long time ago. I don't know how wealthy, you know, I just should have done this a long time ago. So one of the things that I can just say is, if you're younger, you know, if you're older or younger, you should do this, but you have a great advantage if you're younger, because I think wealth is a time game, right? So the younger you can start to invest in money, whether it's in your own, whatever business that you want, it's also equity. It's also dividends. And it happens over time as the economy goes up. And I know a lot of people know that. And I just want to put it in the simplest terms. You know, if you happen to have bought a house maybe 20 years ago in the Boston area, and they were like 150, houses are now going for $900,000 to $1 million. These are the neighborhoods that our parents walked into, donde está la bodega, donde todo. Ya esas casas, they're going for about $900,000. So I want to leave you with that thought. So as scary as it is, and I still, every single time I close on a house, I call my sister, Audi, I call my dad, And I still get nervous. I still get nervous, but they are there to say, you got this. And then I haven't regretted not one real estate transaction so far. So good luck with everyone's, dreams. I hope that it goes as well for you too as well.
Yeah, well, you're not going anywhere. There's lots of questions that are coming in for you. So I have a feeling that this is going to have a lot of legs attached to it. This is even something I'm interested in now. But where's the money? How do you get money to get started? Our next speaker, Marisol Herrera, she was actually born in Connecticut, and she is English as a second language was the environment that she grew up in. And as part of her commitment to the Latino and the minority business community, she serves on several boards, the Chamber of Commerce, I believe she might be even the president of the Chamber of Commerce, but she has an amazing background. She's been a longtime friend of Latinas in Power, and today she's here to talk to us about where the money is, how to access capital so that you can either start or grow your business. Welcome, Marisol.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Marilyn, for that kind introduction. My full name, I want to say it because I'm proud of it, is Blanca Marisol Herrera. My parents immigrated from Quito, Ecuador, many years ago, and I was born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and a very fortunate to have been raised in a very multicultural environment. And that's where that English as a second language love grew from. So I paid my way through Housatonic Community College, where I got my associate's degree. Then moved on to Southern Connecticut State University and got my bachelor's. After that, I attended Albertus Magnus in New Haven and obtained my master's. And I do have a small business background in the construction space. I was in business with my ex-husband and oversaw the business aspects of the company. And I continue to follow God's plan for me. So today I'm fortunate to be working in the federal sector as a bilingual procurement specialist at Connecticut Procurement Technical Assistance Center, PTAC for short. Prior to this position, I was in the private sector working with the Greater New England Council. Today, yes, I am the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Greater Bridgeport. And always connecting our small minority businesses with opportunities. And there's various types of opportunities, whether it's business development or contracting or networking. But to tell you the truth, today is about this, Marilyn. Can you see that?
I didn't know you were going to do that. Oh my gosh. That is one of our older t-shirts. Oh,
Latinas and Powers, I am such a big fan of you and this platform that you provide. I am so proud and grateful to be a part of it. Thank you for that. My greatest success in life, and I'm going to show you this, I'm going to share my screen. My greatest success in life is, let me show you here. It's right here. Is this young lady. This is my daughter, Clarissa Blanca Rodriguez. She is a doctoral student in the Educational Psychology Department, concentrating in bilingual special education using human rights and social justice as her research framework. She's on a full scholarship at UConn. And, she epitomizes, to me, Latina confidence and strength.
That's
I love,
awesome.
this is one of my favorite pictures of her, and she's just not only beautiful, but she's awesome. I also have two sons, and they're great.
Congratulations.
I hope to bring, I hope to add value to this conversation by sharing resources available through the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, PTAC for short. And I want to focus this conversation on opportunities specifically for women-owned small businesses. PTACs exist to help small businesses navigate in the government marketplace. And they assist small businesses sell their goods and services to the federal, state, and local governments. And their services focus on helping the small business compete competently and successfully in the government marketplace. And all these services are tailored towards that, and they're all free of cost. You can find PTAC offices located in every state, including Guam and Puerto Rico. So what I hope to do here is not only inspire you, but also motivate you to add the government as a customer. Now, why would you want to add the government as a customer? First of all, you know, the government is a reliable customer because it's never going to go out of business. And it has a huge budget. They buy goods and services every single year. Just in 2019, the federal government spent over $500 billion buying from small businesses. And it buys just about every commodity from all industries. More so, 23% of all federal contracting dollars must be spent with small businesses. And in addition to that, another 5% must be spent with certified women-owned small businesses. So what the government does to help provide a level playing field for women business owners, the government limits competition for certain contracts to businesses that participate in the Women's Contracting Program. These contracts are for industries where women-owned small businesses are underrepresented. So participating in these Women's Contracting Program makes your business eligible to compete for these set-aside contracts. PTAC counselors like myself assist small businesses with the certification process for these set-aside contracting programs. This slide shows the different types of social economic certification programs available for small businesses. But today I'm going to focus on the women-owned small business here. So one of the major benefits of participating in this WOSB program is that it narrows down the pool of competition to only other women-owned small businesses, and that's a big advantage. So where to find these contracting opportunities? On the federal side, beta.sam.gov is the authoritative source for federal contract opportunities. So let me show you quickly where that website is. I'm going to share my screen here.
And Marisol, I am so sorry that we are running out of time. So we have like 6 minutes left, and we want to make sure that we have time for people to answer some of the questions. There's actually one for Webster. There's one for Glenda. So I'll give you 1 more minute to wrap it up.
Okay, sure. So this is the website where you go to find federal contract opportunities. And just to show you, there's like 99,866 federal contracting opportunities out there. And there is also, and that's just on the federal side. So the state of Connecticut also does have a set-aside contracting program. And to certify through them, it's also free of cost, and you'll be able to find contracting opportunities at the state level as well. And this is where you would go to find those state contracting opportunities. Here you have a slide of the other services provided by your local PTAC. And if you're interested in reaching out, here you have the websites. If you're out of the state of Connecticut, go to the national PTAC to find your local PTAC. Thank you.
So Marisol, so there is a local PTAC everywhere in the country, right?
Including Guam and Puerto Rico.
Okay. Fantastic. So this information, even though she's in Connecticut and she's willing to answer questions, you have access to this kind of money anywhere in the country. And one of the things that was, I believe it was Glenda was looking at is, you know, are there specific contracts that they are looking for right now? Like, is investing in real estate one of them, or what are the kinds of contracts that they are looking for to invest in at this federal level?
Sure, and if you see my screen here, so Glenda is in real estate, and let's see what kind of opportunities are out there. First of all, let's see how many. So okay. I entered the keywords here, and this is through beta.sam.gov. The results are 8,180
Wow.
opportunities. 8,180. So let's scroll down. So Glenda is a woman-owned small business. There's several types of filters you can search through by, and to narrow down the search, I'm going to scroll down here and select women-owned small business. Let's see if there's any set aside for women. And it narrowed down my search to 117 that are set aside only for women-owned small businesses in the real estate services sector.
Excellent, excellent. That's great. I liked how you were able to show people like how to do that, and it's very easy. That's great information. Question for Kathy Velez is does Webster Bank support business in Puerto Rico, because she's interested in buying property over there? So if we can do really short answers so everybody can get in here. Kathy, that one's for you.
Great, thank you. Happy to answer it. So right now we only lend in the states that we have a footprint in, which are New York, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. We do sometimes lend in contiguous states, which is where New Jersey came in at. But for the most part, it's New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island.
Okay. What do you, what would you suggest if they're interested in their state? Do you have any recommendations on what they can do, Kathy?
Well, I would look for a bank, a relationship with a bank that has presence in Connecticut and also in Puerto Rico.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion for
or whatever state they're in Puerto Rico.
Or whatever state they're in, right.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Glenda, this question is for you. How has COVID impacted your approach? Has it had any impact on how you're managing your business?
Yes, there is an impact. Right now I have an apartment that I haven't been able to rent. It's been now a couple of months, actually since COVID started. And partly because people are not necessarily moving right now. They're trying to avoid that. So one of the things that the real estate and I had to discuss was, what is he doing as well to show my apartment? So we made sure that it was more virtual, just like you're doing right now, Marilyn. There was more of that presence. We take lots of pictures and we send it out so they can take a look at it and decide that way. And only if they're really interested, they have to come in mask, right? To come and see the apartment. One of the things that I found interesting that I didn't realize that I would have to deal with, but completely understood, is other tenants were concerned that I was showing an apartment in that unit because, they were afraid that maybe somebody or a stranger or a couple of people coming in. Yeah. So, I had to manage that and talk to them and then talk to the real estate and then go back and just make sure that everybody understood that we're taking every precaution.
And there's one more question for you real quick. And that is, should people hold off on buying real estate right now? Or is this a good time to buy?
I look in the internet now all the time because I want to see what people, that's what I'm doing myself. I just saw an interesting article where from a selling perspective, they're telling people if they can wait, to take their houses off their market and then sell it later. So what does that indicate to me? It indicates that there's probably going to be less inventory out there. Mm-hmm. And if there's less inventory, but still there's buyers, then most likely that the price is not going to go down.
Yeah.
However, there's many other studies that show there's so many people losing their jobs. There's so many people that can't afford the rent. So most likely that indicates to me that there's not going to be enough buyers out there even wanting to buy. And real estate is just like any other service, right? If there is a need for it, then you see that things go up and they're high. But if there isn't a need and that seller really wants to sell, then the prices will go down. So my advice is that it can really go both ways right now, but I am thinking that there's going to be some bargains out there for people that really still need to sell. So keep your eyes open, check out, do your little, sorting things out and making sure you're notified.
Thank you, Glenda. I'd like to thank our speakers today, Marisol Herrera, Kathy Velez, Glenda Ciampa, and to let you know that next Friday we'll bring another speaker on who's going to be talking about managing money during challenging times. She's going to touch a little bit on budgeting, but she's also going to talk a little bit about investing. I wanted to say, you know, today's entrepreneurial conversation focused on one entrepreneur that is investing in real estate, but this is just to give you the idea that yes, entrepreneurship is an area that many Latinas are going into. Matter of fact, we're surpassing all numbers when it comes to the contributions that Latinos are making in the US economy. It's over 500 billion, and most of those are Latinas. So this is just one snippet, one little picture of what one Latina is doing, but there's lots of other opportunities. We're going to send you the Survey Monkey after this, and we want you to send in the kinds of speakers that you would like to hear from in other areas that are also entrepreneurs, because we are going to continue this Lunch and Learn. We're going to take a break in July and August, but we're going to start up again in September. So next Friday is Carolina La Mónica, directamente de Bogotá, Colombia, but she's here in the United States, and she'll be talking about managing money during challenging times. I'd like to thank all of our speakers and everyone today for joining us. Thank you so much from Latinas in Power in Connecticut.
Regreso a mi tierra, hoy vuelvo yo a cantar un lelola y sentido, a un verde palmar.
Regreso con la esperanza de volver a encontrar a mi familia y amigos que al partir dejé atrás. A mi familia y amigos que al partir dejé atrás. Hoy regreso a mi barrio donde aprendí a jugar aquellos juegos de infancia que nunca podré olvidar.
Regreso por mis razones que me ponen a soñar con mi Borinquen preciosa.